Ladies and gentlemen, if I can call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order. Mr. Longfellow, could you lead us in our national anthem? Everyone please rise.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. Car ton bras est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Son histoire est une épopée de plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Mr. Longfellow. We appreciate that again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is my pleasure.
Madam Clerk, are there any addendum items this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None this evening.
I wonder if I can have a motion to confirm our agenda. Moved by Councillor Main, seconded by Councillor Kenny. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Are there any disclosures of interest this evening? There being none, I'll move on to item number 6, determination of committee items requiring separate discussion. Mr. Bodner.
Item 19, please.
Thank you. Any others? Councillor Doucette?
Item number 2, Mr. Mayor.
Any others?
Number 6, please.
Okay. Councillor Main, number 6. Councillor Kenny,
That was the same item I was going to pull. So
Number
that's-
6.
Thank you.
anyone else? Then a call for a motion to approve the committee items not requiring separate discussion. Moved by Councillor Damaris, second by Councillor Kenny. Any questions or comment? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have a presentation this evening from Mr. Ben McDermott, Center Manager of the Port Colborne YMCA, and joined by Terry Cease, our volunteer board member from Port Colborne, and read the Port Colborne YMCA Year 2 final report, September 2013 to August 2014, and the capital report and Year 3 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a volunteer board member with the YMCA Niagara, I'm pleased to be in front of council once again, this time to present our annual Port Colborne YMCA report to you. As a charitable organization who strives to develop strong leaders, it should come as no surprise that this year we've asked Ben McDermott, our Port Colborne YMCA Center Manager, to provide most of the presentation to council this evening, although YMCA CEO Janet St. Amand is also available to answer any questions that you may have. As both a Y member and a resident of Port Colborne, I'm very proud of the impact the long-term partnership between the City of Port Colborne and the YMCA has had in strengthening our community over the past 2.5 years. As many of you know, our multi-year service agreement was based on local market research from which we developed program and financial plans. Generally speaking, the YMCA has met or exceeded this plan based on number of people served, volunteers developed, donations received, based on a fiscally responsible model of service. It is truly a good news story. Mayor Maloney, council members, and members of the public, Ben and I would like to provide you with an overview of 3 items this evening. Year 2 final report of actual services results and financial highlights, the Year 3 plan, and the YMCA capital plan. The detailed YMCA report has been included in your council package. For clarification, the YMCA report and fiscal year begins in September and ends on August 31st, similar to a school year. At this time, I'd like to ask Ben McDermott to present our plan.
Thank you, Terry.
Good evening, everybody. All in all, this is a great news story, one that we can all be proud of, knowing that we've accomplished more together in serving Port Colborne than we could have as individual organizations. Of course, the real story is the impact the YMCA has on individuals and families. And so tonight I'd like to share with you an excerpt from a letter of support written by YMCA member Claudia Bremna, who participates in Aquafit and GentalFit classes. When speaking about her Y experience, says Claudia, the benefits are endless. You are able to meet new people and they become family. Reacquaint with old friends with a common goal of building a stronger, healthier body. I have witnessed broken bodies become strong, healthy bodies with a little hard work and encouragement from staff. And this is a wonderful testament to the great impact we are having in building a strong, healthy Port Colborne. And Claudia is actually here tonight, so Claudia, thank you very much for your testament. Okay, moving on to our partnership. And it's my pleasure tonight to be before council to share highlights of our Year 2 final report. I want to first acknowledge our partnership and the multi-year service agreement that was struck in June 2012 between the City of Port Colborne and the YMCA of Niagara, which positioned the YMCA to provide service within the Ballet Health and Wellness Centre. This unique partnership enabled the city to leverage YMCA expertise in serving the needs of citizens based on 155 years of charitable service in Niagara. The relationship has enabled the YMCA to fulfill its mission of strengthening the spirit, mind, and body of individuals through the provision of quality community services that are open to all. We have accomplished much together over the past 2+ years to be proud of, and that includes designing a facility, nurturing a partnership, opening and operating a great community asset. And this was, of course, no small feat. I also want to acknowledge the collaborative relationship between city staff and YMCA staff leaders at all levels. I appreciate collaborating with the city on-site staff, including Harry Hakeem, Paul Payton, Jennifer Bowman, Brian Thiel, and Mike Grayball, to ensure a positive experience for all participants, volunteers, and staff. As Terry noted, I would like to review 3 areas of the Port Colborne YMCA with you this evening. The first being the Year 2 Program and Financial Final Report that begins in September 2013 and ends August 2014. The second, the Year 3 Plan, and finally, the Capital Report. You have received the detailed YMCA report along with current program brochures as part of tonight's council package. I will highlight key items from the report, then welcome your questions and comments. First, I'd like to provide you with an overview of the YMCA's key areas of impact. Our Year 2 results clearly demonstrate how we are strengthening the Port Colborne community. The first aspect of how we do that is building leaders. And to date, volunteers have close to double, totaling 78 people contributing over 1,000 hours annually. We have our youth drop-in and Friday night dances, resulting in 1,067 visits by youth. We've received charitable gifts totaling $10,093, which supports the annual support campaign, the Strong Kids campaign, ensuring children from all income levels can benefit from the YMCA experience. And the YMCA employed 73 staff, with 25% being full-time students, which is often their first experience in the workforce. We are enhancing health and strengthening families with an average of 2,530 members each month, 65% of those members joining as a family, And an interesting stat is that the market penetration for membership alone means that 4,074 members are active throughout the year for a population of 18,400, resulting in 22% market penetration, which we feel is very strong for this population base. 19% of our members are receiving financial assistance. We've seen 10,500 YMCA visits on the average month. And we've had 13 community groups, agencies, and schools participate in YMCA programming. We're also investing in the healthy development of children and youth in our community. They represent 50% of the YMCA membership makeup. We have our Youth Leader Corps program, which helps youth develop leadership skills. Children enjoyed 1,300 camper days at YMCA summer and holiday camp. Thousands more were involved in branch activities through Open Swim, Family Swim, Day Passes, YMCA Youth Action Drop-In, youth dances, YMCA birthday parties, the Ontario Early Years Centre, babysitting, and more. And we are working with community agencies to extend our reach, including the District School Board of Niagara's Swim to Survive program, the Ontario Early Years Centre for Young Children and their caregivers, the Special Olympics Aquatics program, Community Living Port Colborne, and Port Cares, to name a few. The YMCA is a place of inclusiveness, open to everyone regardless of background or circumstances. YMCA financial assistance is offered to individuals and families unable to afford to participate due to their financial circumstances. Assistance is offered in a confidential manner based on individual circumstances. At the end of August, 19% of our members were financially assisted by the YMCA. The YMCA is meeting or exceeding its promise to service the community at large with a large volume of community access by both members and community participants. And so far you've heard, and we'll hear more numbers this evening, that demonstrate the success of our partnership. But outside of these numbers, there are countless stories that illustrate the intangible benefits of involvement with the Port Colborne YMCA. Involvement in recreation and leisure helps in leading a healthier lifestyle in spirit, mind, and body. And every day, our impact is felt when an individual makes a healthy choice, when a mentor inspires a child, and when a community comes together for the common good. We are pleased to report that generally the YMCA has met or exceeded all targets for year two. The year two financial report, the final report, is a combined report covering September 2013 to August 2014 and is based on the year two plan. The total revenue and total expenses are close to plan. Our membership numbers are solid, with the on-roll average being 2,530 members, which is slightly better than we had planned. All of our programs are regularly evaluated to ensure quality and relevancy. Our year two has had an average monthly member on-roll totaling 2,530 members, peaking at 2,844 members. This is aligned with the market research. Looking at visits to the YMCA, there has been a large volume of community access, totaling 126,000 visits, or about 10,500 visits per month. And this includes both non-member visits at 12,600 and member visits at 113,390. Also, note that our children and youth represent 50% of our membership base, which is higher than originally planned. This year, we have focused on quality improvements with investment in YMCA child protection standards, volunteer training and certifications, health and safety training and processes, and YMCA service standards. Many of these quality and risk mitigation initiatives include a third-party assessment and leverage the YMCA Canada national systems. In summary, we are meeting or exceeding our promise to serve the Port Colborne community in a manner that is both efficient and maintains quality standards. We'll talk a little bit about the financial highlights now. The results of year two are based on the strong initial response to the YMCA in the partial year one period. Revenue is slightly less than planned due to higher proportion of children and youth in the membership mix compared with our original plan. Charitable donations to the YMCA Strong Kids campaign is slightly higher than planned. Expenses show lower than planned in salaries due to summer staff efficiencies and higher than planned expenses relating to cleaning, program supplies, and pool maintenance, resulting in total expenses being slightly better than planned. And the deferred capital depreciation was overspent by $9,000 due to the unplanned addition of a main entranceway heater to provide better temperature control through the winter months. The overall net is slightly less than the $300,000 operating service fund and is over the year 2 plan by $30,000, primarily due to 3 items. The first being lower revenue due to the higher than planned percentage of children in the membership mix. The second being a higher than planned supply cost in pool maintenance and cleaning. And finally, the capital cost with regards to the entrance heater. Year 2 was the first full 12-month cycle, which will enable us to provide more accurate estimates for the year 3 plan in cleaning and maintenance cost. Therefore, the year 2 financial performance results in a $5,000 net, which will reduce the operating service fund in year 3 by $5,000. Now I'm going to talk about our plan for year 3. So based on a conservative approach to planning, the year 3 annual plan covering September 2014 to August 2015 will see a stabilization or slight decline based on various categories of the number of members served. This, along with the current membership mix at 50% child and youth, results in adjusted membership revenue. Expenses have also been adjusted due to greater efficiencies in human resources as a response to the decrease in the number of new members who require greater orientation to the YMCA. This will result in a decrease in expenses by 8%. In addition, the year 3 plan and future years will call for a planned increase in deferred capital depreciation. This year, the increase is by $36,000 due to capturing a full 12 months of capital repayment. Service and program complement are similar to previous years with some new programs, which I will describe later on in my presentation. Therefore, the plan's total net budgeted for year 3 is $16,800. Now I'm going to talk about our year 3 program plan. Program offerings continue to evolve, but generally the program plan for year 3 will be similar to the year 2 plan and will include the introduction of private swim lessons and Fitness for Breath program in partnership with the Ontario Lung Association. I am also very excited to announce that the YMCA will be offering the Fuel program for the first time in the coming weeks in partnership with Lakeshore Catholic High School and the Niagara Region Public Health Department. Fuel stands for Females Using Energy for Life and is a unique program which supports young females to gain confidence and positive body image through active participation. YMCA programs are continually evaluated and revised to respond to emerging needs in our membership, interest, and trends. Now I'll speak to the capital plan. So to ensure safe and relevant facilities and equipment for all, the YMCA regularly makes capital investments to its facilities. The deferred capital depreciation schedule in your report provides a 5-year estimate regarding capital cost. This includes initial YMCA capital investment in facility design and equipment totaling $1.1 million, interest, and ongoing annual operating capital. The deferred capital depreciation is incorporated into the Port Colborne YMCA annual financial plan. So, looking ahead. As we continue to look towards the future of our partnership, we envision continued strong collaboration, continued investment in resources to support community need and safe quality services, continued growth in the support of our YMCA Strong Kids campaign, continued growth in leadership development and volunteers, continued support through our financial assistance program, continued community access to our YMCA day camp, and continued program growth and development of new YMCA programs, including the YMCA Health Management Program, such as Fitness per Breath, in partnership with the Lung Association of Ontario. And the final slide I'd like to talk about is highlighting some of the ways that the City of Port Colborne and the YMCA have collaborated to date. And they include birthday parties offering skate and swim activities, special event participation, including Port Colborne Canal Days, Sports Fest, the New Year's Eve family event, National Child Day, YMCA Cycle for Kids, and Healthy Kids Day. The initial integration of city services like water polo and bridging aquatics participants. Community sports facilitated, which included Port Colborne Youth Basketball, the Piranha Summer Swim Team program, and the off-season swim stroke improvement program, and pay-as-you-play programs such as pickleball. Also, the the Valley Health and Wellness Center has increased overall community interest and participation in other complementary areas that enhance community life, especially in the area of arts and culture, as well as seasonal outdoor programming, including yoga and Zumba at Sugarloaf Marina. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for your time and attention to my presentation, and I welcome any comments or questions that you may have of myself, Janet, or Terry.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott. Are there any questions of council this evening? There being none, I wonder, is there any member of staff that would has a question for Mr. McDermott? Pardon?
We're fine.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McDermott, for your presentation, and also Mr. Cease for coming here again, and Ms. Saint-Amand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'd like to move on at this point to delegations. There are 3 delegations this evening, and I sort of caution the presentations that there is a 15-minute time limit on your presentation, and I will perhaps politely interrupt when you're getting close to the 15 minutes. In any event, I'd like to call forward Liz Palmieri, Executive Director of the Niagara Community Foundation. Good evening, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Mayor Maloney, members of council, and city staff, it gives me great pleasure to come before you tonight to give you an update on the activities of the Niagara Community Foundation and the impact of the Port Colborne Fund, and to let members of council know more about our work in Port Colborne and across the region. Before I start my formal remarks, I want to acknowledge our volunteers with the Port Colborne Fund Advisory Committee, many of whom are here tonight. Gary Tolosi, Claudia Bremer, Darlene Tuck, Roseanne Marsh, and also I happen to have a board member here tonight who I wasn't expecting. Janet St. Amand is a new board member. She came on board last year, so I get to perform in front of one of my bosses. And I also want to thank Ms. Angie Desmarais for her 4 years as a member of the committee, and I thank Dave, but unfortunately he's not here tonight. He's a brand new member appointed by council early in this term. The Community Foundation was established in the year 2000 to link a donor's legacy to their community forever. We were the Millennium Project of the region of Niagara. Our work involves meeting with donors who are interested in creating endowment funds, where in most cases the capital is held in perpetuity. A portion of the earnings on each fund are granted to charities as directed by a donor on an annual basis. Now, donors have set up funds to support particular charities, to support particular fields such as the environment or children and youth, to support region-wide initiatives, or to support a particular community. Through their endowments, donors are now supporting charities such as the DSBN's Steele Street School, Community Animal Allies of Niagara based here in Port Colborne, and St. Therese of Lisieux Church. I don't know if many of you remember Carol Leppert, who was a music teacher. Oh, it's good to see nods. She was a music teacher at Steele Street School and also at Winger School in Wainfleet. Upon her death, a gift was made to the Education Foundation, who in turn used this bequest to open 2 funds, one to support Steele Street School and one to support Winger School. The annual grant from this fund, which last year was over $7,700, was used to enable every child in the school to attend a performing arts presentation and to help one child with music lessons. Any funds left over are used to support the music program at the school. This is a wonderful legacy to Carol's contribution as a music, and I don't know if she did theater as well, but certainly as a music teacher. We also have a group of donors who have created funds to support environmental projects across Niagara. One such fund is the Samuel L. Rudolph Memorial Fund that was created by his son, Mark. Now, many of you probably knew Sam and his store. One project supported was to support the construction of a boardwalk to protect the dunes at the Morgan's Point Conservation Area. A number of years ago, we produced a video, and it was about the foundation and about our different grants in the community. And Mark was there. We interviewed him at Morgan's Point. If you ever see the video, Mark looks very cool, calm, and collected, but it was filmed in the middle of the summer with mosquitoes buzzing around his head. It was, he was cool as a cucumber, though. And what he said was, while his fund is small, it's the impact of his fund in combination with others that will have a much larger impact on environmental projects in Niagara. Now, recognizing that Niagara is made up of a number of municipalities, donors have also created local community funds as a way to provide annual assistance to charities that provide programs and services in their hometown. In 2007, funds from Port Colborne Hydro were donated to the foundation to create the Port Colborne Community Fund. And I think some of you were on council at that time when that was created. We use the funds, the earnings from this fund, to support charities in the community who apply for grants for our various programs. This $50,000 gift laid the groundwork to start to encourage other donors to open funds. As of this past December, I'm pleased to announce that we have received more than $800,000 in gifts to create an additional 12 funds, either from Port Colborne donors or benefiting Port Colborne charities. Now, I know you all have the annual report, and it's the death knell of any presenter to give material while they're making the presentation, but I think if you go to page 21 of the annual report, you'll see a partial listing of the funds that were created within the Port Colborne Fund. These donors are supporting a variety of organizations, as well as our community grants program for these funds. In 2011, I made a similar presentation to the last council, and I looked through my notes to see, in fact, how I could not repeat too much of what I was saying. But I did say at that point that we had recently celebrated our 10th anniversary by having raised in excess of $16 million, held in more than 160 different endowment funds. Well, as of April this year, we will be celebrating our 15th anniversary, having raised in excess of $27 million in endowment funds since that time. And we have 209 different endowment funds set up. In 2001, we awarded our first grants. We were so proud. We had 6 grants at $6,500. Last year, we awarded $1.11 million in grants across Niagara. It's truly astounding, the generosity of so many people. And it really, I'm not going to start to cry, but sometimes it just makes me move to tears, joyous tears. What is important for you to understand is that for most of our funds, the capital is never spent, it's held forever, and just a portion of earnings are dispersed annually. However, our work is transforming because we now have some donors who say holding capital in perpetuity is too long and are paying out both earnings and capital either over a specific period of time or a specific dollar amount. And what's great about these is they're increasing their impact over a shorter period of time. These funds are being created by donors who maybe have no second or third generation, and they want to have the impact over their generation. And as you know, our volunteers organized the weekly 50-50 draw last summer at the Port Colborne Downtown Cruisers Night, held every Thursday. It was truly amazing. It felt like the 1950s being downtown, the number of people that were out on the Thursday night. They raised $7,500, and they allocated a portion of these to support the Pro Kids program here at the Y in Port Colborne. And I don't know if you're familiar with that program, but the Y administers this for the region, and they use these funds to provide an opportunity for kids in Port Colborne to take part in sports, recreation, and cultural activities. It's truly a wonderful partnership. The volunteers also wanted to acknowledge the support of the organizers of the Cruiser Night and set up a Port Colborne Downtown Cruiser Fund within the Port Colborne Fund as well, as a sort of a thank you to this group. I'd like to spend a few minutes letting you know a bit more about our granting programs. We have 3 granting programs open to registered charities and municipalities. And you can visit our website to get more information on deadlines and criteria. The Environmental Grants Program is available for community-based projects which protect and/or restore shorelines or which will improve water quality. We've provided support to neighborhood associations working in collaboration with local municipalities on the project, Friends of Parks, Friends of Streams. I don't know if in this municipality you have those neighborhood associations affiliated with the municipality. Certainly the Morgan's Point Conservation Area is one example of how we've been able to use our environmental grants. We have a Children's Summer Camp Grant available for two types of groups. Those who provide a camping experience can apply for bursaries for children in financial need, and these bursaries are used to offset registration fees. We also provide grants to organizations working with children with special needs, helping to cover the costs of a caregiver to attend camp with these kids. Annually, the YMCA and Community Living Port Colborne Wainfleet have both benefited from those programs. Our General Community Grants Program is a semi-annual program and is available again to registered charities and municipalities and to community groups. Local groups receiving support over the past few years include Le Centre Polyvalent des Années Francophones, Port Cares, Community Living Port Colborne Wainfleet, and the Port Colborne Hospital Foundation. Le Centre used their grant to create a video lending library and screening series for Francophone community. One of the grants to Port Cares was towards the equipment in their new Reach Out Center. They put together a new big kitchen. I think we provided the equipment for the stove and the refrigerator. We also have a $500 mini grant program with 4 deadlines throughout the year. These grants are great because they have a very short 45-day turnaround time. And it's a good program because even with $500, it's quite amazing what a group can do. In 2013, Community Living, which is a very large organization, applied for a little $500 grant, and that was to assist with funding of some training to 8 parents and caregivers whose clients they support. Again, for all of these programs, we can only support registered charities and municipalities. Now, beyond endowment building and grant making, we are also involved in some community leadership initiatives. We received the contract actually for the last 4 years from the region of Niagara to convene the Niagara Poverty Reduction, the Niagara Prosperity Initiative. We've supported Leadership Niagara since its inception, and we've been very involved with the Living in Niagara report produced every 4 years by Niagara Connects. Last year, the foundation underwent a major strategic planning process. Going forward, we are looking at ways in which we can increase our investments in Niagara, whereby we use not only our earnings, but our capital for long-term financing of infrastructure projects undertaken by the charitable sector. This could include financing affordable housing projects. We are also looking to create a center of excellence in nonprofit governance and philanthropy. In order for charities to deliver meaningful and relevant programs and services, charities need to have effective governance and efficient operations. Through this center, our goal is to provide tools and resources to the sector to accomplish this. Now, in closing, I make 3 requests to you and an invitation. And they're the same. For those of you who have heard this twice before, they're exactly the same, but I don't know if you remember them. So the first one is, can we put you on our grant notification list so that you can be informed of what our grant deadlines are and what the programs are, and then you can share that with agencies and groups in your community? May we add you to our regular mailing list so you can get copies of the annual report? I don't know about you, but I'm of that generation where I actually like to hold on to something and to read it and then to pass it along to somebody else. And then if you see an opportunity in the community, in your work as a member of council, where one of your residents talks about how can they give something back, how can they leave a legacy to the community, please put them in touch with us. It's a great opportunity for people to create something in perpetuity to give back to their community. Now, I put on your desks earlier this evening an invitation to a reception that we are having on April 21st. As I said, April is our 15th anniversary, and our volunteers with the Port Colborne Fund are hosting a really wonderful after-work presentation where you'll get to hear firsthand from some of our grant beneficiaries about the amazing work that they have been doing in Port Colborne. So I want to thank you for giving me the time. I want to thank Peter Siness, who was very involved way back when in helping us work with Port Colborne Hydro through the creating the Port Colborne Fund. It was really great to be able to see that happen. And I'm certainly able to answer any questions. I don't think I've been 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Palmieri. Are there questions of council? That was a very comprehensive presentation. No questions of council, and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Thank you so much.
And we'll see that you get contact information for those members of council who wish to respond to your asks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Our next presentation is Mr. Alistair Davies from Habitat for Humanity, and he's the executive officer. Welcome back, Alistair.
Thank you, Mayor Maloney. Mayor, councillors, staff, guests, and my friends of Habitat that are here, and also representative of our board of directors, who is Dave Weens, who's in attendance also. You know, unfortunately, I'm not able to report back to you very good news about poverty. Poverty housing in Niagara is becoming more of a challenge than in the past. We're seeing the numbers climb in terms of the difficulties that families are experiencing. And you know, some of the numbers that are before you display the fact that we're seeing so many children that are living in poverty. And that is a particular concern to us, along with their parents and all of the negative things that happen as a result of that. There's over 6,000 households that are waiting for a safe and affordable place to live with their families. Habitat is part of that solution. And to try to speed up the process, Mr. Mayor, and to hear less of my voice and more of something you'll learn even more for, I have a short video.
Habitat for Humanity works in almost 100 countries around the world, but what you may not know is that we also build homes right in your community. Many of us don't realize that 1 in every 8 families are challenged with the decision to pay rent or put food on the table. Habitat for Humanity builds homes and hope for families in need across Canada. We want everyone to have a safe, decent, and affordable place to live, and we firmly believe that home ownership breaks the cycle of poverty. Here's how our program works. First, we identify families in need and prepare them to be successful homeowners. Our hardworking families serve the community in many capacities. Each one just needs a hand up out of the cycle of living from paycheck to paycheck. Next, we partner with the community to acquire land through donations from municipalities, developers, and individuals. As a charity, we rely 100% on the generosity of donors to make our homes possible, including donations of cash and building materials to construct our homes. Once the funds are raised, we strap on our work boots and hard hats and start building. We mobilize volunteers to build homes alongside of our partner families, nail by nail, wall by wall. Habitat volunteers come from all walks of life, but are joined by a passion to serve families. Some have never picked up a tool in their lives. Others are professional tradespeople. There's a place for every individual, community or faith group and corporate team who wants to build with us. So, how do families actually benefit from our program? Each family must invest 500 hours of their own volunteer time, called sweat equity. Once the family is in their home, they pay an interest-free mortgage and payments are never more than 30% of their income. This mortgage is why our homes are affordable and have a life-changing impact on families. For example, 78% of Habitat families report better health, 89% say their family life improved, and overwhelmingly, Habitat families report that they are better off financially and happier, and that their children perform better in school. As families pay their mortgage, the payments are reinvested into our revolving fund for humanity. As this fund grows, we use it to build more homes. So, the more families we serve, the more homes we are able to build. Families benefit, and so does the community. In many communities where we work, every donation to our program can go directly to building homes and serving families, because administration and fundraising costs are completely covered by Restores. Restores are retail outlets that accept donations of new and gently used building materials and home improvement items that are sold to the public. The Habitat program is a sustainable investment for today and the future. So pick up a hammer, pick up a phone, or visit our website to invest in our community's most valuable resource, people. Habitat for Humanity, building homes, building hope. Habitat for
The simple formula for our success, in terms of trying to boil it down, as we try to move forward in our communities to build affordable homes, according to the sort of overview of the plan that video provides, is it starts with having land. then we need, as the handshake shows, we need partnerships, community partnerships throughout the municipality, the region, and some of our partnerships are across the country. We do need a certain amount of financial resources, which we have a plan for that, and of course the family. Now, there's no shortage of families that are in need of an affordable home, low-income families, and we will be working in the community to help identify those families and to select families for our future builds. And of course, at the end of it, you have a home, it's a green home, it's as efficient as we can build them. And one of the reasons for that is that we want to have a home that the operational costs are as low as possible. The nature of what we are planning to do this year is to really increase our capacity. We're seeing a big increase in the need. So this year we will be building 7 homes in Niagara. We're usually in the range of 3, 4, the odd time 5, but this year we're really pushing it up. A remarkable thing that we also have to share with you is that we're an international organization. We build in nearly 100 countries. We've built over 1 million homes, and we've developed a unique partnership through Niagara that for every home we build here, we will sponsor 8 builds internationally. And that means with those 7 builds, we'll produce 56 homes here, or 56 homes internationally, and 7 here. That's 63 families will serve, likely in excess of over 200 children. That is the kind of impact we're very pleased with. Right here in Port Colborne, you talk about being blessed as a community and how I feel about this and Habitat does. We had this home donated to us late last year by a local resident, very generous that he stepped forward and did that, and it was donated in memory of his parents, John and Susanna McClossick. And our plans are to upgrade this home, and we will be replacing the electrical, the heating, the plumbing, the kitchen, lighting, bathroom, windows, drywall, veranda, the roof. We're going to preserve and refurbish what appears to be some very nice interior hardwood floors and doors and wallboards and staircases, and just turn this into, it's a classic house, but to upgrade it in all regards. And the interior of the house and the structure of it is in great condition. So it sounds fantastic. Take this house, turn it into a great home for families to move into, but we need to have a steering committee to be able to mobilize the community. And what I'm looking at, and have started some process towards doing, is to produce the Port Colborne Habitat Steering Committee, of which we need a chair and some leaders. A chair to have oversight of the program in connection with myself, but also leaders to look after fundraising, gift in kind. Gift in kind is where we seek organizations that will donate a product to us, or at what I call a very favorable Habitat price, which is a tax receipt. To help with family identification, volunteer coordination, we'll have over 20 days of opportunities for members of the public, organization, and business to get involved, and of course the communications of the various events. As to the actual project itself, we want to mobilize the community just as much as we can, and the steering committee is a big part of that. And of course, so is support of the city, and the selection of the family process it's started officially. We had our first open forum at the Legion about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and we're continuing to receive applications, and we'll accept them through the month of April. We plan to start the renovations in September, so getting things really kicked into gear now is really important, and we hope to have the home dedication in the first quarter of next year. Renovation funding. What does it cost to do a project like this? We're anticipating somewhere in the range of mid 60,000s. You know, it's hard to say. You have some things that are a bit more than you expect. Maybe have some generosity and gifts that we didn't anticipate, but that's sort of our budget. I think that's a pretty good deal to be able to provide a 3-bedroom house in a really appropriate, all of the features of the new kitchen, etc. That's a heck of a deal. And part of the main job of the steering committee will be to work with Habitat in terms of bringing together the funds and the gift in kind required. I clearly want to state, though, is that Habitat comes to Port Colborne to help you, to support you. I'm not coming here for you to rally around me. I'm coming to support you because we were given this gift, and every response I received from the community has been one of very strong support. So feel that this is yours because it is yours. It wouldn't be happening otherwise. In terms of the city's leadership, I already know from building here a few years ago that you are champions, and I asked you for continuing that capacity. And looking into the future, we're coming here to work this year and early next year. We want to keep doing it. It takes a lot of momentum to get the machine rolling that's just starting. So keep in mind and have your sort of attention to possibilities there may be for future land or buildings that we might be able to have provided to us. And in the future, when we're building hopefully on land that is, you know, it's not a rental, it's on land, is that you're able to waive servicing fees and development charges, although I think that already is something that maybe already be in place, and various types of permits, that where CIPs are available, that we can receive those. And also to think about where you might be able to connect us to new partners, whether it be developers or other types of organizations that might be able to help us. And we want to get you involved. You can't get out of this. I've already declared that there's going to be a City of Port Colborne Build Day, and we'll be inviting Mayor, Council, and staff to be involved that day. And we'll work up a little bit of sweat. Dave Weens, who's with our board, he's in charge of hard work, so be prepared. And this brings me then to in terms of one of the main ways in which we were able to raise funds is through adopted days. You already have one as the city, but we encourage other organizations to get involved, to sponsor a day. They get to come onto the site with 6 or 8 volunteers, and you get to have a real good day's work. It's very exciting to be on the build. There's really no way to describe it than to actually be at the build. You get to meet the Habitat family. It's a great team building experience for your employees, church groups, service clubs, giving back to the community. There's some public recognition, and I tell you, you do have some fun doing this. So I have a note that was provided to me, is that Bob Saraceno and Cindy Forster asked me to convey that they are totally in support of this project, and will be there as we move forward. Switching gears a bit about the mentions in the video about the restore. We operate one in St. Catharines, and we're within a couple of weeks of opening up a second store. It'll be on Highway 20 in Font Hill, and the intention is to be able to serve sort of the southern area of the region, and the response we're receiving back has been extremely positive. So opening in a few weeks into April, you'll be hearing more about that. It's about 10,000 square feet of donated home products, and that's really important for us in terms of, there's a picture of the location. Formerly it was Beatty's Home Improvement, and you know, the big part of this, it generates funds for us that we really need to be able to offset all of our costs. And now opening the second store, it's going to be generating funds that will go into actually building more homes. It also diverts over 1.5 million pounds of material that likely would end up in landfill. And what it means is we end up with some really nice products and materials, overstock, salvages, that we are able to sell to the public, and emphasize the fact that the restore is open to the public. Here's sort of an idea of the types of product that we have in the store, and there's many others, but people wonder, what do you take? Pretty well everything you would find in a home, and a great place to get a great deal, including the fact that we do not charge HST. We make the donations pretty easy. You can drop things off at the store 6 days a week, 9 to 6. We also have salvage crews, and we love to go out to pick up kitchens. That's one of the things that we're most known for. We come into your home, remove the kitchen, no cost. You get a tax receipt for what we sell it for. You can't go wrong. I think, you know, every councillor is due for a new kitchen. Help us out. And we get donations from residences. We get them from local businesses with extra stock. And if you're not sure, give us a call and talk about the nature of what makes this place successful. Habitat for Humanity, it's volunteers. There's a few staff, but we have hundreds of volunteers, and this year we're anticipating having about 800 volunteers involved in all of our home builds, and you're going to be part of that. So I invite you to get involved. I think you're already implicated in feeling involved, and the things have sort of kicked off already. One of the first events that's going to be occurring, and some of the members are here this evening, is at Bethel United Church. It's going to be holding a fundraiser dinner on April the 29th, just to get things rolling, and that's the first one. And you know, they all add up towards bringing us together as a community to renovate this home and move a family into it early next year, and then keep going from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Are there any questions of council? I just have one, Mr. Davis. Some of your volunteers who assist you with the builds don't necessarily have the best construction acumen. And I'm just wondering, do you carry insurance to cover any accidents that could happen on site?
Yes, we absolutely do. We absolutely do have many people come on site that have, very limited skill, but all volunteers, all employees are insured. We look after that very carefully. In fact, I just reviewed that very item today with our insurer to be sure that we have it at the highest level. But also what we do is we do a great deal of safety orientation training before people are allowed to actually even enter onto the site. And our site supervisors are very well trained in first aid. The point in terms of the skill sets that come is that no particular skills are required to come onto the site. We have crew leaders there that help direct the work. And when it comes to high-level work, we allow only the experts to go over about a certain height, and we're very prudent about that, and it's absolute sort of law of habitat in Niagara is that we're not going to expose anyone to any dangers of that nature.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I would call our next delegation, Mr. Gary Bellhouse and Mr. Larry Boggio on behalf of the ride organizers for Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the bike ride.
Mayor, City Council, staff, fellow attendees. Larry Boggio doesn't need an introduction, but my name is Gary Bellhouse. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce for Port Colborne Wainfleet. I'm a member of the Short Hills Cycling Club, and I've been a member of our community for over 25 years. And Alistair brought up a good point. He mentioned switching gears. Well, Larry and I are here to talk about switching gears on a bike ride to raise money for the Big Sisters and Big Brothers of Southern Niagara. Larry is going to talk about Big Sisters and Big Brothers, and I'm going to talk about having a wonderful bike ride in our community.
What Gary has forgot to mention is Gary's been very involved with the big ride, the big cancer ride in St. Catharines. I think he's probably one of the founding members, so Gary knows a little bit about ranging bike rides. What we're looking at is a bike ride for people that actually ride, road ride. It's a little bit different than just a bunch of people going out on the ride. If you've ever seen anybody riding down the road, it would be like the riders that drive in single file, stay together nice and tight, and they go really fast. That's the type of ride we're looking at arranging. Back in November, we had a little meet and greet at my house, and it was to have Big Brothers being introduced to a few people in the community that are maybe involved in fundraising and things like that. And we were fortunate enough to be able to have our Mayor, John Maloney, come that day, and he was able to see that Big Brothers, Big Sisters are coming to the Niagara area, well, they are in the Niagara area, but they are coming to Port Colborne and Wainfleet, which they haven't been for some time, but they are, I guess, reinventing the wheel down here. We'd heard that Big Brothers, Big Sisters actually needed some support, and we found out that approximately $1,500 per year is required to support a little sister or a little brother. And we heard that they had a shortfall, and they have a demand for approximately 100 to 125. They require 100 to 125 Big Brothers or Big Sisters to support these younger children. Big Brothers and Big Sisters has always had a special place in our home since my wife was a big sister, and she was able to make a big difference in a little girl's life when she needed it the most. Big Brothers, Big Sisters has a few big fundraisers down in this area. They have the Bowl for Kids' Sake, and they have a Big Brothers, Big Sisters summer golf tournament, just to name a few. We're hoping to make this another one of their big fundraisers. Gary happened to be one of the members that was there, of our community, that was there at our meet and greet. And Gary and I stood there and we said, you know what, why don't we do a bike ride? And we can get people to come into this. There's a lot of different bike rides that are taking place across the community, or communities in Niagara. And we said, why not have one in Port Colborne Wainfleet? We figure we could raise somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000, and it'll probably be more than that. We figure that's a good start. All we require is somewhere between 100 to 150 riders. I think we haven't really advertised anything yet, and we're already around 50, and we're just starting to get rolling on this. We're hoping to do this. This is our first of many, and we're hoping to do it for many years to come. So hopefully, the only support we require from the city is just the support that says, yep, go for it. Let's have another function come to our community. Let's bring more people, show them what we've got to offer. Okay? This is the kind of community where you would like to live. People that support their own.
Thank you, Mr. Boggio. Mr. Bellhouse?
I would like to talk about the ride, if I may.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Okay?
Got lots of time.
I put everything, everyone has a handout piece on the ride. I just wanted to mention that everyone here is a volunteer. We have a number of sponsors, and we're hoping through sponsorship that we pay for all the costs involved with running the ride, so that the actual fee for the ride to participate goes directly to Big Brothers and Sisters. Our objective, as Larry has said, is to get a minimum of 100 riders. We know we already have 50. They're all paying $100 each, and many of them are volunteering to do things with the ride. Now, I'm not starting up a bit of a rivalry here with Waynfleet, but Waynfleet has already said that they would support us in terms not only morally, spiritually, but also financially. Now, I hope I'm not putting any pressure on here for you to help us with this ride, but April asked me to mention that. So. Now, this is Sunday, June the 14th, okay, and it is a group ride. So we're going to have one ride where you ride a bicycle for 100K. Now, these will be for people that are experienced bike riders. We've asked anybody that must be able to ride 100 kilometers an hour,
What?
or excuse me,
30 kilometers an hour. We are
100 kilometers, right, at 30 kilometers an hour. And then we're also having 2 bike rides for 50K, where one you only have to ride 25 kilometers an hour, and then the other one you only have to ride 20 kilometers an hour. Now, we'll have people leading the ride, we'll have sweeps, we'll have support trucks, we'll have halftime stops during this ride. So lots of support. Now, lots of support pedal bicycles, lots of support Boggio pharmacies, lots of support Evolution window films, Urge to Purge, storage on site. That's just to mention some of them. So everyone is going to get a t-shirt, everyone is going to get a barbecue. We have concessions. Everybody knows concessions is open now. New owners, but the name is the same. They'll be putting on the barbecue, and we're going to start and leave from the
DJ's parking lot.
and the Lions Club.
And the
Yes,
Lions
and the Lions Club.
They're also supporting us as well.
Yes. Yes. Any questions on the ride?
Members of council? There being none, thank you very, very much for your presentation this evening.
Thank you very much for your time.
At this time, council, I'd entertain a motion that we receive the YMCA report. Would someone care to make that motion? Moved by Councilor Doucette, second by Councilor Danch. Any question or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We'd also like to entertain a motion that the charity appeals of the Niagara Community Fund, Habitat for Humanity, and Bike Ride for Big Brothers and Big Sisters be received and supported as charities in Port Colborne. Is there a member would care to make that motion? Moved by Councilor Doucette, seconded by Councilor Desmarais. Any questions or discussion? There being none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. Next item would be my report. Perhaps be very brief. April 2nd is our annual top hat ceremony for the first downbound vessel coming into our harbor, into Port Colborne. That will be on the 2nd of April at 8:30 to 9, and that's provided a vessel can get to the port and down the canal. So it has been postponed once, and hopefully it won't have to be postponed again, but there's an awful lot of ice up there. So we'll keep you posted on that one. The second item is that the Easter egg hunt, our annual Easter egg hunt, will be held at Roselawn on the Saturday of Easter weekend, starting at, I don't have it here. Between 8 and 9. It might be 8:30 registration and 9 o'clock start.
I think it's a 9 o'clock start because I couldn't.
8:30? Mr. Hakeem, you'll help me out in this situation.
Yes, Your Worship. 8:30, I believe, is registration, and 9 o'clock is the hunt.
And there's an age limit, is there?
Yes, there is. I believe it's up to age 12.
Thank you. So we encourage members of the public to join the children in these festivities. Regional Council's report. Councillor David Berry. I would also, I was a little bit remiss that former Mayor Bob Saraceno and Regional Councillor Bob Saraceno was in the audience supporting Habitat for Humanity, and I'm sorry I regret not to have acknowledged them, but Councillor Berry can make up for that with your report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate that. I do want to take the opportunity to speak to the District 6 Port Colborne detachment. I know that it has been in the news in the last 3 weeks or so, but I haven't been here to speak to council myself yet. So I do want to acknowledge a couple of things. One, that many in the community and many councillors here have fought that battle in the past, 2 terms ago, last term, and it was certainly on the horizon this term. There was a report that came to this Police Services Board that started to investigate the option of closing down District 6. And so I'm happy to say that the resolution that I put forward did pass. So I'm very thankful to the other board members who supported keeping the District 6 Port Colborne detachment open at a minimum for this term of council. So I do want to, if I may, read out the actual resolution as well for members as well as the public. And so the resolution that passed was this: that the Niagara Police Services Board commit to keeping the Port Colborne Detachment District 6 open and fully functional for, at a minimum, the remainder of this board term, 2019, and that no further consideration, resources by this board be given to any discussion, report, study on any matter that would result in the closure of District 6 until at a minimum 2019, and that the resolution be circulated, etc. So I'm happy to say that this item's been put to bed, so to speak, for at least the remainder of this term. There are a lot of other large pressing issues that the Police Services Board does face, and I'm confident we can face those challenges head on without having to worry about a red herring distraction of the Port Colborne detachment. And so I'll be happy to get some real work done on that board on behalf of this community in the Niagara region. The region is starting to undergo some value for money audits, and as many on this council may know and the community may know, that's part of what I've advocated for, is ensuring that Port Colborne taxpayers get value for their money. How do we do that? Well, there's a lot of ways, but one way is to find out is get a value for money audit. We will be starting to do that on several fronts at the region, and I'm sure that those in the community and those at the region and the city will be able to see those as we move forward. And I'm happy to give this council an update. With regards to the budget, the regional budget was passed, as I've reported here previously, but the 2016 budget process has now started as of March 1st. We want to strengthen the budget planning process, and part of that is going to be through surveys and workshops, et cetera, et cetera. And so I look forward to, as budget chair at the region, spearheading a strategy that makes affordability a priority. There's a couple of awards that the region is presenting, and I wanted to bring in here tonight for this council and for the public. One is the Niagara Region Environmental Awards. The deadline for that one is April 8th, 2015, and certainly more information can be found on the region's website. But the region is looking for individuals, businesses, community groups, nonprofits, youths, school, and families who have made a significant contribution to safeguarding Niagara's natural environment. And I encourage those of you who have anybody in mind, please nominate someone who you feel is deserving of that award. The other one is the T. Roy Adams Humanitarian Award. That's an award that the region hands out every year since 2003. And it's to honor a resident of Niagara who best exemplifies Roy's values and dedication to community service. A person who sees volunteerism as an integral part of their life. And certainly we saw others here at this podium and in the gallery who I believe would be very deserving of that award as well. So I'd encourage folks to certainly nominate someone that they think is deserving of that award. The deadline is March 31st, and more information can be found on the region's website. I know that there are several people in Port Colborne deserving of these awards, so I did want to mention that. So that's my report this evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to take any questions.
Members of council? There be none. I just perhaps make one more comment on affairs at the region. There was a Go rally at the Niagara Falls train station. The crowd there was, the waiting room there was filled and spilling out into the street, and every member or every community in the region were represented by their political representatives. And that was a huge push to bring Go to, certainly to Niagara. That was emphasized with the Minister of Finance being here in St. Catharines last Wednesday, I believe, and as well as Jim Bradley, who was at the rally. So there's, again, a unanimous push to have Go come into Niagara. Any further comments or questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Barrick. We appreciate your report. Now, are there any items that council has to bring forward, either new business or otherwise? Mr. Maine, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few. They're just minor in nature. I got a call today from this lady who would like a rain barrel. And I know the city had some at one time.
Can any member of staff help us out with that?
Can you help me out with the rain barrel? She had called the region, and the region said they buy the rain barrels, but the municipalities have to buy into it and buy them from the region, apparently. Niagara Falls is doing it at $15 a barrel. And I know they did it here a few years back. So.
Perhaps we could sort of defer that to our next council meeting, and with perhaps we have some more information back from staff.
The other ones I have are when the snow melts, the gift that keeps on giving appears. And I talked to Mr. Hanson to put that earlier. It seems the promenade has an overabundance of dog feces all along that walkway. And I'm sure there's geese and swans as well. And the neighbors were complaining about it because of the way it looked, and they can't even use the property. Clarence Street is the same, and pretty well all over town. And I know you can't legislate courtesy, and I know you can't legislate getting rid of the poor dog because it's the owner you should get rid of. And I know they wash the sidewalks off periodically during the year. I had the opportunity to come to bylaw, and by the time I got home, I already had Gmail that the wheels were in process. And I want to thank bylaw, and I want to thank operations for that. The third one, and this is bylaw 2 as well, I've been noticing a lot more dogs without leashes. You don't have to go too far around. People have given up using leashes, and I would like some input from somebody in staff that has a little bit of knowledge on that leash bylaw. I know they can go off leash when they're in the dog park with the regional. But otherwise, I see them running all over town now, and we're kind of regressing back to the way we were a few years ago. Does anybody in staff have any knowledge of?
Mr. Aquilina?
Could help me out?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Main, we do have a bylaw regarding dogs, and that bylaw is enforced by that's the Well and Humane Society in consultation with bylaw enforcement. So if we have information as to who owns the dog, we then inform the Humane Society, and they check to see if they also have a license with the municipality too. So we follow up on those issues, and if we find out who the owner is, we certainly can take care of it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Aquilina.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Madam Desmarais.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a little further on that issue with the dogs. It's really important that if anyone is going to provide information to a member of council or a member of staff, that they may want to use their cell phones or their cameras to get a picture of whoever has the dog running at large, if they can prove the ownership, because many times the Humane Society goes to those purported to be the owners, and the owners deny ownership of the dog, and then all enforcement stops right there and the issue is lost. We are fighting this issue on a daily basis in Ward 2, and that's one thing I run into continually, is that the Humane Society has its hands tied. So get as much information as possible and forward that.
Thank you. Are there any members of staff that wish to respond to any inquiries made of them in the previous council meetings? There be none. Move on to item number 12, adoption of minutes, mainly the minutes of the 7th meeting special of the Committee of the Whole on March 6, 2015. And perhaps we can adopt these in whole. Second one being minutes of the 8th meeting regular of Committee of the Whole, March 9th, 2015. I would entertain a motion to move to adopt those minutes. Moved by Councillor Butters, seconded by Councillor Kenny. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Now, moving on to consideration of items requiring separate discussion. Councillor Doucette, I believe it was item number 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Department of Engineering and Operations, Engineering Division Report Number 2015-43, Subject Engineering and Operations Roadside Grass Cutting Tender 2015-04. That the Council of the City of Port Colborne award contract 2015-04, the supply of roadside grass cutting services to the Greenfield Group for the total annual quoted price of $41,388.08 in 2015, and that the contract continue in 2016, 2017, 2018 with annual increases of 5% over each previous year's rate plus any applicable taxes, all pending final budget approvals by council for each of those subsequent years. That funding for the work be financed under account 0-500-73410-3328. The annual operations maintenance budget for roadside mowing, and C, that a contract bylaw where the city enters into a contract agreement with the contractor be prepared.
Are you making a motion on that, sir?
I'm making the motion that, yeah.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Desmarais? Discussion?
It's just a question, and I figured I'd pick on this one since it's the first one, but there's a few other contracts coming up as well. One of the concerns I have, and one of the concerns that has been brought up to me as well, is the fact that this is going to go on for the next 4 years. I have no problem with that. The only thing is, and especially in this case, the Greenfield Group has a good reputation. The only concern, real concern I have, is that in all of these contracts, do we have an out clause in them in case something happens and we need to move out of it? I'm sure that they as well would like some kind of out clause, and it's just a concern I have for this one, for number 3, there's a few of them in there, and I'm just wondering if we have that.
Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Councillor Doucette. Yes, we do have an escape clause in terms of non-performance. Any conditions, we've had experiences in the past. Grass cutting is notorious in terms of performance, depending on the weather and the growth of the grass during the season. For non-performance, we can suspend the contract at any time at our discretion.
Excellent. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Any further discussion or comments, members of? Then I'd call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item for discussion is item number 6. Councillors Main and Councillors Kenny both commented on this. Councillor Main.
Department of Engineering and Operations Division Report number 2015-51. Subject, supply and delivery of new vehicles for the city fleet in 2015. A, that the Council of the City of Port Colborne accept the lowest pricing from each of the listed suppliers, all as detailed previously within this report. That funding for these purchases be financed under GL accounts 3-550-33150-340-1. The next one is 3-595-33103-3401 and 3-590-33102-3401 Public Works, Water and Sewer Equipment Reserve Fund. That the Director of Engineering and Operations be authorized to issue a purchase order for the purchase of these vehicles from the appropriate vendor at the pricing detailed.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Kenny? Councillor Kenny, do you also have some comments on this item?
After Councillor Main.
I'm just going to find it here, B. Sorry. Okay. My issue is not with the need for the vehicles. I understand some of them are 92s, 96s. I think I'm screwed here. I don't have an issue with that. What I do have an issue is the recommendation to go to diesel. I've had quite a few pickup trucks, and I find diesel out of the question as far as cost goes. And I noticed noted in here that a diesel will cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 extra per vehicle, right at the option level. Plus, diesel fuel is a good 20 to 25 cents a liter more than gasoline. And I wonder, in this whole issue, why was diesel chosen over gas? I know it's written in here, but to me it doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Hanson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The author of this report is Chris Lee. He's done, beyond the history of doing most of our vehicle purchases, he's done extensive research on this year's tender, so especially with the new diesels that are available. The cost of the diesel, as we checked today on our purchases, it's about 8 cents a liter more expensive for diesel at the present time under our current purchase, under a tender. The diesel motors are at a premium. But what we're finding is, and through Chris's research, and I don't have all his numbers with me here, is that the maintenance cost on these diesels over the term of the vehicle, the 10 to 12 years, is extremely, or is much lower than with a gasoline engine. The maintenance costs are lower. The fuel consumption is running about 30% less. In comparison, we're seeing numbers compared to 17 liters per 100 kilometers. We're seeing numbers of 11 liters per 100 kilometers for a diesel engine. So again, over the 10 to 12 years, the author of the report is saying $15,000 less for a vehicle, and that's going to depend on the size of the vehicle and how it's used, of course, during the process, whether they're towing. A diesel has great advantages in towing. Some of these larger vehicles are towing the wood chipper and the crews towing some of the pumps and so on around the different projects. So historically, we haven't used diesels in the pickup trucks. We're using them in the larger vehicles, of course. This is a recommendation to look at diesels this year in the smaller trucks, in the pickups, and we're recommending to council that there's going to be an extensive saving in fuel, maintenance, and performance of these vehicles. And this is also in consultation with our the two city mechanics who have had a look at this report and agree with this based on what they've seen in their experience with some of the local garages and so on. So we think diesel is a good option. The new diesels are a good option in terms of these vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Mr. Main?
Just one quick point. I've never owned a diesel truck, so I'm not an expert when it comes to diesel pickup trucks. I have two friends that have had 3/4 ton Dodge diesels, and they've traded them in on the gas because they say the gas has better fuel economy, was the step-down engine. I would like a little bit more to look at this. I mean, I just got this package Thursday night, and I can't see myself supporting this the way it's written, and I just have to do a little bit more research.
Councillor Kenny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know much about diesel fuel either, but I look too. I Googled gas vs diesel, and I'll just tell you exactly what it says. It says it's very difficult to make direct comparisons between the two types of engines because there are so many variables, and trucks have a very different feel on the road. Anyways, it goes, diesel trucks also have a considerably higher initial cost and service. When needed, usually cost more, but diesels generally last longer and have a higher resale value. Well, in your report to us, you said I think I'll have to go back to it because I can't do both at the same time. Maybe I can use Barb's. Sure. You said that you're replacing these because they're 10 years old. So no matter if it's a diesel engine that we get or a gasoline engine, in 10 years for sure we're probably going to have to replace it because that's the life of the vehicle. So I was concerned about that, and it even says in there how long you keep a vehicle also makes a big difference within regard to how the increased fuel economy will start paying back against the higher cost of a diesel engine option and other related costs. Diesels often have a higher tow rating than gas models, so if you tow heavy trailers, a diesel may be a better choice, which I understand for the one that is towing the chipper and all that. Is that right? No, that's the gas. So I like Councillor Main. I would like to defer this till at least the next council meeting so I can do a little bit more research on it. I'm concerned because we're going to be spending $250,000, and that's before taxes. And I'm wondering why, when we're dealing with companies, and if we look, I have to go back. Just give me a second now. There are, I know your staff went out and they priced this, but there are 4 vehicles being bought from one one sales, and then there's 4 being bought from another. So they're getting a good chunk of change from the city of Port Colborne to purchase vehicles. And I just think that there should be some, you've got note, any applicable taxes are extra. I don't know, if you're making purchases of that quantity, there should be some kind of them saying, well, you know what, that's taxes included. That's basically what I'm saying, because there has to be some kind of savings I'm still not convinced. $250,000, that's without tax. And some of those vehicles, oh yeah, they need replacing when they're 10 years old, like the 92, the 96, the 97, definitely. I just wondered why they're all coming now in this, this budget year that we have to replace 7 vehicles. So if someone could help me out, that would be great. Thank you.
Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Councillor Kenny. First of all, for clarity, the 10-year rule is not hard and fast. The feeling is with these diesels, if they last longer, we're going to extend the life of all the vehicles. If it's a diesel, perhaps to 12, 15 years or longer, depending on how it's used. The higher use pickup, for instance, will go to the roads foreman initially. He has the most usage. So that vehicle would go to him for the first 3 to 4 years, 5 years, depending on the mileage, and then be downloaded to another user who perhaps would have less mileage. That's been our past practice. So the 10-year rule is not hard and fast. These vehicles could very well last much longer with the diesel. With regards to the $250,000, we didn't buy any vehicles in 2014. The Equipment Replacement Fund was put in place in the 1990s to ensure, and as it's replenished, to ensure that the fleet is kept in good condition. Council made that decision in the 1990s because at that time, a lot of the fleet was in very poor condition. We were faced with the MTO actually putting a lot of the vehicles off the road. They were red tagged. So Council adopted at the time that the Equipment Replacement Fund be put in place. It's replenished. It's not a hit on any particular year. When the funds are available and a vehicle is needed and the replacement is required, the Equipment Replacement Fund is available. So it's not an increased hit in any particular year in terms of the levy. That fund is available. Many of these vehicles you can see in the listing on page 2 and 3, the water and the sewer, those are directly funded out of the water rate, and you'll see those in your water and sewer budget as that comes forward. So we're thinking that the life on these are going to be extended, and this is a better purchase in terms of the diesel motors. I don't know, Paul, I've asked Paul to come in tonight. He knows a little more about the fleet than I do. Paul, is there anything else you want to maybe add to those comments?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. One of the items I wanted to address is the discounting that dealerships may have. All dealerships, when bidding on municipal equipment, have an opportunity to apply for municipal discounts through the government. So the prices you do see fluctuate probably depending on the dealer and how much the dealer wants to cut out of its profit, if it's making much profit. What we find over the last, I'm going to say 5-10 years that Chris and I have been doing this, is the municipal discounts we're seeing are anywhere from 20 to 30% off with the sticker price you see on the lot. One particular vehicle I can recall in 2013 was approximately $38,000 on the lot. We paid $23,000. So we're seeing discounts already on the bidding. All municipalities have that opportunity because we are a fleet corporation. So that, and then Ron made the other point that we made no purchases in 2014. That was probably either we were reassigning vehicles or we were getting by with some vehicles. We did acquire over the last 2 years 2 new employees for which we did not supply vehicles to. We used our oldest vehicles to put under their feet. But what we're finding, a lot of those vehicles are spending more time off the road, unusable. And often what we find too is the use of the vehicle is not appropriate. If it has to tow something, we can't simply use a half-ton pickup. We have to use something heavier. And that may not always be available. It may be assigned to another job at the time or the day. So it is very much use dependent. Depending on what it's, as Ron alluded to, what it's towing, or what division it's assigned to, and what is the higher priority work as well.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Hayden. Just thought one more thing. Also, as our services change, one of the items I see in here in the listing is for a parks vehicle. Often what we do is we meet, Chris and I meet with the mechanics and the foreman at least twice a year to look at our fleet, where are we using our fleet, what can be better used. One of the things that's come up is our cemetery use. We've had to take on the cemetery, and what we've chosen to do one of the half-ton pickups that's in the Parks Division simply doesn't do the work to tow the tractor we now have to pull out there to dig the graves. So we have to go to a heavier 3/4 ton vehicle. And also our thoughts were, if we want to get into snow removal as well out at the cemetery, we can at least have a heavier truck to be able to put a small plow on if our funds allow to do the work in-house. So we're always looking at multi-purpose the vehicle. And with regards as well to one of the vehicles that's up for replacement, it has an aluminum landscape box that we purchased in 2004 with the truck. Those aluminum landscape boxes are usually two truck lives. So we're taking that aluminum box off that truck and putting it on the new one. So we're only really tendering for a cab and chassis, not a box on the back. So we save money in that regard as well.
Councilor Kenny?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one more question then through you to Paul. Paul, have we ever even considered looking at vehicles that have a lease finished, like 2 or 3 year lease that's finished, and now they're up for sale? Have we ever thought of looking at those, because they're still under warranty, some of those vehicles? I mean, I've been approached by a person already who says that if you just tell them what you want, they can get it on an expired lease, or a lease that the person has given up because financially they can't afford it. So do we ever look at those things? Instead of just new all the
Mr.
time?
Mayor, not per se as in targeting leased vehicles. Maybe some of our needs drive it differently. We tend to tender for commercial vehicles, which means bare bones. There's no carpeting in it. It's vinyl. There isn't a chrome grill. It's a black plastic grill. Those are the types we go for. I think maybe some of the leased vehicles that may, unless they're purposed that way in the beginning with a company or a corporation, they may come that way. But often they come with a lot more bells and whistles that we really don't require. We have in the past looked at, mostly for our heavy equipment, where we've looked at demonstration units. We've identified a certain number of hours demonstration limit. And so if they hit that or less, then we'll look at that as well, because often it's a that year's demonstrator model that they're willing to let go at a reduced price. We've put that in our written that in one of the clauses Chris has in there, depending on what we're tendering for as well.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, one other addition to that. The Nissan that's used by the building department, the building inspector, that was a lease vehicle. That was one of the first attempts we had at leasing. We actually bought that vehicle outright. The deal was quite good at the buyout time. One of the problems with leasing, I think, that we've seen in the past is because of the abuse that a vehicle endures going through the city fleet. After 3 or 4 years or 5 years, the penalties for leasing at that point in time for repairs to the vehicle would be extensive. So we've stayed away with that from the commercial vehicles, but it was beneficial in the case of the small Nissan that's used for the building department. It worked out quite well. Lease purchases for the backhoes and larger pieces of equipment, definitely we do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you.
Mr. Bodnar, you had a comment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to, I guess, Mr. Hanson or Paul, how long does this price hold that we've been quoted from the dealer, and how quick do we have to make this decision? There's been a thought process that maybe we want to put this off for another council meeting. And also in that same vein, when is Mr. Lee back that he could share the full extent of his the research that he did on this?
Through Mr. Mayor, Chris is back the Tuesday after the Easter weekend, which I believe is April the 7th. We could provide additional information at that time. I don't think that would jeopardize the timing on the tender.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do recall though that Chris mentioned one manufacturer has a build-out week in April. And build-out weeks means that they stop taking orders. They change over the line apparently to go to the next new model. So one of those manufacturers is affected by an April build-out week. So that could affect. I'm not sure which one that is.
Mr. Bonner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, I don't know, I guess I'm a little concerned that we've all of a sudden became experts in the truck department. I mean, you know, we hire good staff to do some very good research. They know what they're dealing with. And if you've ever been involved with Mr. Lee in different things that had to be researched or whatever, he goes beyond what is needed. And you know what, I think it's right that councillors should ask questions, and absolutely sure. I don't know that getting all the information off the internet is exactly true. I've got a couple of pages here that speak highly on diesel trucks, and you know, some of the advantages is that they have a quite a bit higher resale value at the end of the, you know, compared to a gas truck, especially if it gets up around 150,000 kilometers, which I know the roads foreman would put that on in a heartbeat, and then trades out his truck for one of the other trucks and then adds it up there. So I don't know, I guess I'm just a little concerned that we now have some expertise on trucks where staff has done a pretty thorough job, but I certainly would be willing to vote and hold it off until Mr. Lee comes back. But if we run into that build week, then we don't get trucks, right? We have to put a whole new thing out for the newer trucks. They switch the lines over, right? So they don't build any more of that year's trucks. So anyways, just throw that out there for consideration.
Councilor Vance, you had your hand up.
I got a couple trucks. I always buy 3/4 tons. I find that they work for my trade, and you know, a truck is a truck. You're going to put it to work. I'm not big on the diesel. I have a diesel truck that we use, of course, for the power and stuff that you need. I guess it's there. I have a crane that I need to run, and I need the power for that. The diesels just plain cost more. An oil change on a regular truck, you can take it in for $50–75. Diesel's going to be $200. Diesel's $4,500 to $5,000 right off the hop. I talked to a sales guy, actually from Performance Motors there. A regular pickup truck has a 6,000-pound towing capacity. The chipper you talked about and a few of those other things, that doesn't weigh anywhere near the 6,000 pounds. You put a front-end loader on it, I guess, yeah, you'll probably get up there, but I'm not real keen on the diesel. You say you got 8 cents a liter difference in your fuel cost. That's pretty good, because if you look at the pump today, I think it was 119 against 102, but you know, that's today, and tomorrow's another ball game. But I don't know, I wouldn't mind saying hold off a little bit. And as far as jumping the gun, because that truck's not available, there's lots of trucks out there. These guys, they transfer these things from all over the place. You can always find a work truck. So I'd be okay with just waiting another week till Chris gets back. That's a personal opinion.
And I hear that a number of council members would like to defer this to a certain date. Is there someone who wishes to make a motion? Our next council meeting would be April 13th, I believe, Madam Clerk. Does someone wish to make a motion to defer this to April 13th?
I don't know, I deferred if it's for now.
Mr. Main? Moved.
I so move.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Kenny? Call for the question. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 1, 2, 3. Motion's carried. Move on to number 19. Mr. Bodner, that was your item? Item 19 was yours?
Sorry.
This is the Fort Erie Canadian Motor Speedway project.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if I can read the whole thing that was sent to the region by the town of Fort Erie, and they've sent it in to the city, and we've just put it in to receive and file. But I'd like to actually ask for council support on this, but I'll read what they say. Canadian Motor Speedway, and this is to the region of Niagara and all municipalities. At its regular meeting held March 9th, 2015, the Council of the Town of Fort Erie passed the following resolution. Whereas Regional Council has committed to encouraging private sector investment as set out in its recently adopted Economic Action Plan entitled Fostering an Environment for Economic Prosperity, and whereas growth, investment, and infrastructure has been identified as metrics to determine Regional Council's commitment to economic prosperity, and whereas Regional Council's strategic priorities include the promotion of a more development-friendly, proactive approach to projects of major economic significance, positioning Niagara globally, and aggressively pursuing opportunities for public-private partnerships. And whereas the town of Fort Erie can play a central role in expediting process for development, influencing provincial plans, and working jointly on economic development with the region of Niagara. And whereas the Canadian Motor Speedway project represents the largest foreign direct investment in Ontario tourism sector since 1981, with a potential $400 million in direct private sector investment and an estimated $450 million in economic impact from development and construction, including up to 1,100 direct and indirect jobs and $890 million in labor earnings. And whereas the Canadian Motor Speedway will include a stadium with an initial capacity of 65,000 seats. And whereas the Canadian Motor Speedway is a project of major economic significance for Fort Erie and Niagara, and whereas the Council of the Town of Fort Erie has identified the Canadian Motor Speedway as a priority gateway project and will provide tax incentive programs to this project for a 10-year period. Now therefore, this Council resolves that Fort Erie Council endorses the Canadian Motor Speedway project and recognizes that $15 million private sector investment made to date on pre-development land acquisition costs and approval processes that include the services of 6 Niagara-based firms. Regional Council revisit the inclusion of the Canadian Motor Speedway as a priority gateway economic zone and center community improvement plan program, and provide tax incentive programs to this project for a 10-year period. Fort Erie Council makes the success of this project a council priority. Staff circulate this resolution to area municipalities and the province and federal governments. Mr. Mayor, I think that this project is of significance that I would like this council to give you some direction, Mr. Mayor, at the region to support Fort Erie's ask of the region, and also that we encourage our regional councillor to also support Fort Erie's ask. This has a huge significance, and I would also ask that the City of Port Colborne approaches the City of the Town of Fort Erie and ask, is there anything else we can do to move this forward? This will have a huge impact on the whole Niagara Peninsula, including the City of Port Colborne, and this just needs to move forward, and we need to be part of the moving forward process, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Bodner. Is there any, perhaps we should have it's an amendment to what we have here. You're moving an amendment to just item number 19?
Yes, the recommendation is receive and file. I would like to have it that we actually encourage you to support this at the region and have the regional councillor also support this at the region.
And your third item?
And that we approach the town of Fort Erie and say, can we be of any other assistance to move this forward?
Is there a second here for that amendment? Councillor Desmarais? Questions? Councillor Doucette?
Just a comment, sir, and maybe a question to the city clerk. We need to defeat this motion and put the one he's putting in on, or do we just go ahead with that one?
My opinion, subject to the advice of the clerk, would be that we would pass this amendment to motion, and then we would pass the motion as amended. Would you agree with me, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I would. The amendment on the floor is not contrary to the main motion.
Madam Desmarais, did you have your hand up? No? Any other questions or comment? Therefore, I call the question on the amendment as proposed by Mr. Bodner. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now we vote on the main motion as amended. Any questions or comment? Mr. Councillor Doucette?
Okay, now that we've done that, the question I have is to maybe Councillor Bodner. What do you mean by we in Port Colborne can help? And with the budget's going to be really tight this year, especially with the fact that we've had all this situation over the winter with the water mains and so on and so forth. I want to make sure that we're not talking about throwing some of our money into something like that until, if it becomes necessary, then we can discuss it. But I'd like to know what you mean by that before I vote on the final.
Councillor Bodner, do you wish to clarify that?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. This isn't about putting money towards it. There's tons of money already involved. This is a private group that's doing this with assistance, obviously, from the region and the town of Fort Erie. This is what we can do, something like what we would do at the region, support what they're asking for. This isn't dollars and cents. This is, for lack of a better word, moral support, and how can we assist in moving this through the upper levels of government.
Councillor Doucette, is that clear? Councillor Butters, or Councillor Kenny, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think just by the fact that we're not just filing it, that we're showing them already. And the fact that Councillor Bodner has said, if you show that support at the region, that shows our support. We didn't just receive and file. We said we wanted to go forward. It's going to be a great, great economic impact for the whole area. And I think it's important that it is supported. And so I think just by doing that, instead of just receiving and filing, we've already showed them that we're supporting that. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comment? Therefore, I call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That concludes further consideration of the items for discussion. Are there any notices of motion this evening? No notices of motion? Then I move on to just a review of the upcoming Committee of the Whole and Council meetings. On Monday, April 13th, 2015, Committee of the Whole and Council. Monday, April 27th, Committee of the Whole and Council. Monday, May 11th, Committee of the Whole and Council. Monday, May 25th, Committee of the Whole and Council. And Monday, June 8th, Committee of the Whole and Council. And finally, Monday, June 22nd, Committee of the Whole and Council. Any questions or comments? There being none, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor Desmarais. All those in favor? Carried. This time we'd move on to the regular council meeting. I call the meeting to order. I'd like to call for a motion to, first of all, are there any addendum items, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None this evening.
I call for confirmation, a motion to confirm the agenda. Councillor Byers and Councillor Main. Any comments or discussion? There being none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Item number 3, disclosures of interest. Are there any items that Well, disclosure of interest, first of all, is there anyone who has any conflicts here? There being none, move on to adoption of the minutes of the 8th meeting special of council of March 8th, 2015, and the minutes of the 9th meeting regular of council on March 9th, 2015. Is there a motion to adopt those minutes? Councillor Butters, seconded by Councillor Kenny. Any comments? There being none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now, number 5 item, determination of council items requiring separate discussion. Is there anyone has a item that they wish separated? There being none, I'd call for adoption of council items not requiring separate discussion. Motion to adopt all those items that haven't required discussion. Councillor Main moved it. Councillor Desmarais seconded. Comments or questions? Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Proclamations. We have a proclamation somewhere here. Proclamation, I'd like to read it out. Where Public Rail Safety Week is to be held across Canada from April 27th to May 3rd, 2015, and whereas it is the public's interest to raise citizens' awareness on reducing avoidable accidents, injuries, and damage caused by collisions at level crossings or incidents involving trains and citizens, and whereas Operation Lifesaver is a public-private partnership whose aim is to work with the rail industry, governments, police services, the media, and other agencies, and the public to raise rail safety awareness. And whereas Operation Lifesaver has requested City Council to adopt this resolution in support of the ongoing effort to save lives and prevent injuries in communities, including our municipality. Now for Mayor John Maloney proclaims the week of April 27th to May 3rd, 2015 as Public Rail Safety Week in the City of Port Colborne. I have a mover for that motion. Moved by Councillor Butters, seconded by Councillor Main. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Could I see those who are in favor again? And I guess it was perhaps opposed. Councillor Doucette, are you voting on this one? No, motion's carried. Thank you. Now we had circulated minutes of the boards, commission, and committees. Minutes of the Environmental Advisory Committee meeting of June 14th, 2016. Minutes of the inaugural meeting of Port Colborne Public Library Board meeting of January 13th, 2015. Minutes of the Heritage Port Colborne meeting of January 14th, 2015. And minutes of the Port Colborne Transit Advisory Committee meeting of October 15th, 2015. Could I have a motion to accept those minutes as presented? Moved by Councillor Desmarais, seconded by Councillor Bodner. All those in favor? Carried. Are there any notices of motion from any of the councillors? There being none, move on to introduction, consideration, and passage of bylaws. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that the following bylaws be read 3 times and finally passed. Bylaw 6206-3215 being a bylaw to amend the assessment schedule for the maintenance of drainage works known as the Oil Mill Creek Drain. Bylaw 6207-3315 being a bylaw to amend the assessment schedules for the maintenance of drainage works known as the Marsh Municipal Drain and the Fred Pitts Municipal Drain. Bylaw 6208-3415 being a bylaw to authorize entering into an agreement with the Niagara Central Airport Commission regarding the change of name of Niagara Central Airport. Bylaw 6209-3515 being a bylaw to authorize entering into a contract agreement with Greenfield Group for the supply of roadside grass cutting services. Bylaw 6210-3615 being a bylaw to authorize entering into a contract agreement with Snips Landscaping for the supply of parks grass cutting services. Bylaw 62113715 being a bylaw to authorize entering into a bulk water sales agreement with John Boy's Water Haulage. And finally, bylaw 62123815 being a bylaw to appoint a deputy clerk for operational purposes, and to repeal bylaw 54545110.
Council, we have 7 bylaws. Unless there's any comments to the contrary, I propose that we make a motion to adopt these bylaws in block. Moved by Councillor Doucette, seconded by Councillor Danch. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That the following bylaw be read 3 times and finally passed, bylaw 62133915, being a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Port Colborne at its regular meeting of March 23rd, 2015.
That's the confirmatory bylaw. Do we have a motion to accept the confirmatory bylaw? Moved by Councillor Bodner, seconded by Councillor Danch. All those in favor? Carried. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into camera. The reason being, Council do now proceed in camera to address the following matters: minutes of the closed session portion of the February 23rd, 2016 council meeting, and B, memorandum from the Chief Administrative Officer dated March 23rd, 2016 concerning the recruitment process for the hiring of a Chief Administrative Officer pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001-239, sub 2, sub D, labor relations or employee negotiations. Is there a motion to Councillor Doucette moved, Councillor Desmarais seconded. All those in favor? Carried. Opposed? I thought it was unanimous. It wasn't.